Megan Hicks of I Run Far, and I'm here with Sage Canaday. It's I don't know, a day and a half before the 2014 the North Face Endurance Challenge 50-mile championships. Hi.
Hi. I think it was the first time you've interviewed me.
Well, I'm pretty excited to interview you.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you are fresh off the plane, literally.
I am, yep. Go straight here.
Just arrived.
Yep.
This is not your first time to the Marin Headlands. This is, in fact, your third time trying to run this race.
Yep.
So let's talk about your history with the North Face Endurance Challenge Championships. 2012 was your first year. That was the year of the rain, mud, and course reroute.
Yes, it was. And I got lost, and I got lost with Adam Campbell, though. I was not leading. I am directionally challenged, but no, we all
qualify them immediately.
Yeah, we all went off course together.
Okay.
And we didn't even know we went off course because it was foggy and dark and raining, and there were maybe some marking issues. And Brian Powell told me though at mile 30, he's like, I think you cut the course. And
okay.
Then I put it together. I was like, well, I'm pretty far in the lead. Maybe I did cut the course. And it was a slippery, muddy mess. I was wearing the road racing flats from Scott, and I kept falling, and really discouraging and frustrating, and I DNF'd.
So that was 2012. 2013 you came back, or tried to come back more fortified than ever, but unfortunately there was another blockade to last year, right? Yeah,
I was pretty fit, I think. I mean, you never know at this time of year after racing all year. I pretty much race every month the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I could have been tired last year too, but I got the flu 2 days before the race, and I decided not to start. Like, I could have probably gutted it out, but it would have been horrible, and I didn't want to give myself pneumonia, so I pulled the plug on that, and I think it was a good choice.
But you were here, and you kind of saw how everything went down.
Yeah, I was watching and filming a bit. So.
Yeah, and now you're back. You are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably studied the course maps just about as closely as you can.
A little bit. There's a lot of turns.
There's a lot of turns. Are you feeling pretty ready for this year?
I am. I'm amped about this race. This is always a big focus. I always like to have this on the calendar. I think I'll like the course. I haven't run the full course, but generally I like these types of like more runnable trails, and rolling hills I think are better with like 2-mile sustained climbs, because it's a lot different from doing like a sky running race where it's rocky and high altitude, steep power hiking stuff. And it's even different from Lake Sonoma a little bit, just because the climbs are more sustained. Whereas like Lake Sonoma, it's real fast rollers, and that's a real unique course. So looking forward to it. I honestly don't want it to be that muddy, but you know, we'll see how it is.
Okay. So you've had quite a year. I mean, has there been a month in which you didn't race in 2014?
February I just did some snowshoe races in between Carlsbad Marathon and Tarawera.
Okay.
And then this past month, November, I don't think I had a race in November.
Okay.
Yeah. Le Temple was right at the end of October, and that was 5 weeks ago. So yeah, this vicious cycle of it's self-induced though, so I'm not complaining. But
I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry, it's it's a interesting question. Like the motivation factor. You started racing. Your season started in January, let's just say, and now it's December. Are you going to take an off season after this, or are you transitioning straight to 2015 adventures?
It really started before that in January, because I just went straight through just 2 years of pretty straight racing. But it'll go into 2015. I'm signed up for Houston Marathon. I'm going to try to run a Olympic trials qualifying standard in 6 weeks, and then I'll go straight into Tarawera 100K in February. But then after that, I'm going to take a break.
Will you?
If I make it that far. Like, I know it's a horrible idea it's not sustainable to race as frequently as I do, especially, these races are so competitive now. You can't show up and expect to podium on tired legs, or if you don't train specifically for an event. And, sky running, the rut, or like Pikes Peak is a lot different from the Carlsbad Marathon or Lake Sonoma or Transvolcania or this race. So I think I need to allow myself more time to focus and specialize. So next year it's about holding back and saying no, as lucrative as it is. Sometimes.
Is it going to be about that?
I hope so. Otherwise I'll get either burned out or injured probably.
Well, your 2014, when I look at it, it's both diverse and pretty successful. You've been on the podium of some big races around the world, near to the podium of some others. And you've also raced, the Pikes Peak Ascent, a short relatively fast, all uphill race, and then something like this, you know, like a load of climbing in 50 miles, a load of runnable climbing, but 50 miles. Are you finding, after this being sort of like your, I don't know, you know, second full year of experiencing ultramarathons, are you finding preferences, or are you finding your preference is the diversity?
I like the diversity. I think it keeps things interesting, and it's always good to change a variable in your training. I wouldn't advocate racing as frequently as I do. Like, it's a horrible idea. But I think the variety is good to like get your leg speed back. I think that could be beneficial, and to periodize your training so you're doing faster stuff. But I found that it takes longer to get the speed back. So like, I did Carlsbad Marathon. I ran 2:22. It was a hilly course. It was 1,000 feet of climbing, which is hilly for a marathon.
For a marathon.
Yeah, and I wasn't real sharp for it just because I had the flu this month, and so it takes a while to get the speed back. And so I found that transition to be harder, and the transition from going to like Mount Washington to the Rut 50K, or you know, a different race like that, or a 100K even at Tarawera, it takes longer than I thought to energize your legs, get into be a good climbing mode or good descending mode versus running flat and fast. And I thought maybe I could do it every couple months, but now it's like, well, maybe it takes 3 or 4 months to really specialize, and maybe even years. I don't know. It's kind of uncharted territory. That's what I like about mountain ultra trail running, though. It's so diverse, and you know, you got mountains. It could be a vertical K. It could be a sky running race. Ultras could be on the road or track. You could run 100 miles with comrades, or the 100K champs, or you could do it on, you know, a runnable smooth trail like this, or anything in between. So it's real great variety, and I want to try to do all the biggest races in all these different types or parts of the sport, I guess.
Okay. One thing it seems like from observing you the last couple of years is you seem to be a pretty durable human being. Like, you haven't really succumbed to any major injuries. I know you complained about your hip flexors after Les Templiers, but yeah, pretty durable.
Is there some wood to knock on here?
Exactly.
I don't run very high mileage because I've raced so much the last 2 years. So like, I've always been pretty durable, I guess, in high school and college. But I also am kind of a wuss when it comes to feeling any pain. If I have any like pain, like I'll take a day off. I always, after every race, I pretty much take at least like 5 days off. I never run a day or two after a race. I can't. I could barely walk. So like, I usually take a down week, and I'm usually tired for 2 weeks after the race, and then I train hard for 2 weeks, and then I taper for the next race.
Yeah.
So like this year in ultra running, I've been running. You can look at it on Strava. It's all there. 80, 90 miles a week. I cracked 100 miles a week twice this year, maybe.
Okay.
Whereas when I was in college, I ran 150 miles a week training for 8K cross country, and my sweet spot was 120 for the road marathon for sure.
So maybe there is a little bit of something to racing so often, as it keeps you from getting your mileage too high too often.
They could be a blessing in disguise, I guess. But I think ideally 120 is probably still my sweet spot, because it was for road marathons, and I think that you get so much leg strength just from doing that. And that's really the limiting factor for me in this race is, are my hips going to give out? You know, as long as you're eating, as long as you pace yourself okay, you're not going to be accumulating lactic acid on the hills. Like, the hills don't get me out of breath. You're not breathing hard. It's, are you going to have sheer muscle failure? Yeah. And I think when you run 120 miles a week with, 15,000 feet of vertical, that's a lot for me. Yeah. Your legs get really callous and hardened for that type of effort. And I think that probably would be the wise thing to do. And that's what I want to do in the future more. But I also want to do fast races. Yeah.
You've seen this race go down for a couple of years. You were here watching it last year. You know that it's about as stacked as it's going to be in the men's field. And I think it's far more competitive than 2 years ago, and a bit more competitive than last year. There's going to be some dynamic interplay of you guys out in front of the race early on, middle way through, towards the end. Have you thought about strategy? Have you thought about how you're going to approach the actual race versus what's going on with the guys around you?
Yeah, a bit. I guess it might be like the most competitive trail ultra race in the U.S. ever. Did you say that, maybe?
Possibly.
About that?
Yeah, definitely the men's side.
Yeah.
The women's side has lost a couple headliners.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, but
that's
definitely
unfortunate.
The men's side.
Yeah, I mean, it's more competitive in Western states, I'd say, in my book.
Yeah.
Got all the champions here. And, I guess we're missing Max King, but
darn Max, where are you? Oh, you're sitting on your couch. Hopefully.
Hi, Max. Yeah, no, it's. I think. I mean, it's usually. I've never run a race where there's been a pack. I've never run in a pack for very long. And I think this race has potential for pack running, maybe the first 20 miles, but after that, I think it'll get spread out.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob won by 10 minutes last year. It wasn't really that close. I think it'll be closer this year. Like,
yeah.
I said that going into Lake Sonoma this year. I was like, it's never close. Everyone always wins by like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
And it was
really close. Like, you can't stop and go to the bathroom anymore. But yeah, I think I try to take advantage of well, I don't want to get lost. So that's the first thing. So I don't know if it's wise to follow people, or you're in the dark for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get lost. So there's that, and then if Zach goes out the front, which I predict he probably will. How much of a gap can you let someone take a lead on you, and are you willing to take that risk and say, oh, they'll come back? Because at Lake Sonoma, I didn't respect Zach's move there, and he won.
Yeah.
So that's that's a lesson learned there.
He didn't come back. He started to come back, but he didn't come back all the way.
He didn't.
So.
Oh, he made it just in time. So and he got robbed too. So it'll be interesting with that dynamic. But I think it'll be exciting.
Is there anybody in particular that you're looking forward to racing and seeing how you match up against?
I've raced everyone in the field. Yeah. Maybe not on this course or at this. Actually, some of the European guys I haven't raced.
Okay.
But I think pretty much everyone I've run against, either in a road marathon or in college or at an ultra.
Okay.
So it's always fun to just line up with really competitive guys and have a crack at it.
Right on.
Yeah.
And last question for you: did you bring any beer?
I brought an Avery. I'm not sure if it broke in my suitcase because I checked it in the bag, but I got a 22-ounce bomber, the Dugana.
For a little post-race?
Yep. Hopefully I'll be enjoying that. If I make it through the whole course this year and finish, hopefully I'll have that out at the finish line area. Maybe I'll share some too.
All right. Yeah. Well, best of luck to you this weekend.
Oh, thank you.
But probably the most luck that you need is, instead of the luck of running, you need just the luck of being able to follow the flagging.
Yeah, and my hip's not giving out.
Okay, the luck of your hips.
Yep.
All right, well, best to you out there.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.